Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inside NDF, sponsored by National Dance Foundation. Each week, we interview another fascinating member of the dance community, one of those movers and shakers that have really helped to shape our dance community today. This podcast is dedicated to dance and dance education and all those who make it happen. Inside NDF is sponsored by National Dance Foundation with the mission of hashtag KIC, kindness, inclusion, and community, and reaching out and creating opportunities and giving everyone an opportunity to dance. So today we are especially happy to introduce Will Shover from the owner of Dance Machine ANDC, and he also shares those values. So we're going to get a chance to learn a little bit more about him and his contributions and his thoughts about dance. So welcome. First of all,
Thank
welcome,
you.
Will. So tell us a little bit about yourself. When and what got you interested in dance?
I was born into it. Both of my parents were triple threats. So I was one of those kids when you would bring friends home, your parents would be tap dancing and singing in the kitchen. Um, so I didn't really show a lot of interest in dance until I was about 9 or 10. I took classes and I was a tumbler. But about 10 years old, I told my dad, when I was with him at a Dance Masters convention, I said, well, I want to be Mr. Dance. And he said, well, you're going to have to actually take class and pay attention. So
Something
that
just
was
minutely
a
simple,
little
correct?
bit, yeah. And so that was kind of my turning moment. So the next week I was like, all right, I'll take every class. And so that was like third, fourth grade. And so I was in every class I could take. So the next year I could go to Dance Masters and be in Mr. Dance. Um, and then I was pretty involved in it up until my senior year of high school when I told my parents I was never dancing again.
Okay.
And they just very casually said, okay. They knew that that wasn't going to happen. And so when I went off to college saying I was never dancing again, I actually randomly ended up filling out an application to go teach for a studio in Fall River, Massachusetts, because I was in school in Rhode Island. And that's when I met Lisa Bebo with Spindle City Ballet. And she took a chance on a 19-year-old and completely instilled all the passion that I now have. She was like, you have something in you, you need to use this. And she showed me that my parents had given me this awesome dance education that I didn't really realize.
Very nice. Well, they did give you an awesome dance education. So, what did you decide you wanted to do from there? Because you're now a competition owner, creator, and owner. But did you dance for a while? Did you want to go into Dance Masters? What? So you're like, okay, I have this. What happened next before
Yeah,
we
so
have the will we have today?
so I went ahead and finished my marketing, public relations, advertising degree. And I was actually while I was teaching for Spindle City Ballet, dancing with them, um, doing everything dance I could basically to make my money through college.
Sure.
And then I was applying to law school and I did not get into the school I wanted. I thought my life was over. And my mom was like, let's take a semester off, maybe a year, just recollect, decide what you want to do. Well, she was wise. She knew that I should be dancing and not going to law school. So I came home for that, what was supposed to be a semester. And she convinced me to teach for her. And so then she said, oh, you should go to teachers training school and you should do this and you should do that. And I ended up teaching for several different studios. I was working for Lowe's corporate. Then I ended up taking over her studio. And in the process, ended up starting a dance competition. So
Before we talk about the dance competition, what it was your favorite to teach? Tap, ballet, jazz, hip hop, all?
um, probably tap, and it would be like the 5, 6, 7-year olds. Like,
It's funny. It's funny that you say so as a dance teacher, and I always worked with great tap teachers, and they'll all laugh and tell you the same. I am the worst tapper there ever was. It's amazing you can be so good in one thing and so bad at another. So
yeah.
that's funny. That's very. So then, okay, so now you have all this going on. So what made you think, let me just start a dance competition? Had you been taking your students to competitions?
Well, so it all kind of started with I was with my mom at a competition with her students. And I had a couple of groups that I had done, and she said you should take them with you to competition. I looked at her and I said, "This is boring, Mom. They need to be playing games." I said, "I want the teachers." I said, "These teachers could learn so much from each other, and they could be friends, and it doesn't need to be so competitive backstage." And she looked at me, and I don't know that she really was sincere when she originally made the comment, but she said, "Then why don't you just start one?" And I had $35 in my pocket at the time because I was 21 years old. I had just come home from college, and I got purple paper and went and made a brochure, rented a local elementary school auditorium, and 5 studios showed up that first year.
Wow,
And
that's a
I ran
lot.
a dance competition. Like, I literally sent it out in January, February, and then it happened in April.
Wow.
So that
Wow,
was
that's
year
a
one.
lot. That's very exciting.
You know.
So, since you thought these others were boring, which I have
Mhm.
been to many boring ones myself,
Yeah.
so I can attest to that, you could just fall over and fall asleep waiting for things to happen. What is your competition philosophy then?
My thing is that when you step on a dance machine stage, that competition is not about beating out others. It's about improving yourselves. It's about appreciating what you've learned. It's acknowledging others' accomplishments, and then everything else is icing on the cake.
I love it.
Um, and I tell myself, as well as my other directors, when we step into that competition, I want those kids getting to know each other from other studios. We introduce the teachers to each other. We introduce the kids to each other. I want them to be friends when they leave.
And that's very interesting and very important. Of course, that's so much in line with NDF and with community. So, how do you do that? Because, and it's not even because the teachers, I think teachers like getting to meet the other teachers, and I know kids do. I've had kids make friends with other studios. So, how do you kind of make that happen?
Couple of different ways. One is just when we're backstage, I just say, "Hi, Miss Sally. Have you met Miss Susie? She's from such and such." There are sometimes when we've already been to a city and we know a particular studio, I'm like, "So and so is going to love this person because they also are a tap heavy studio. They think a lot alike. They're both really traditional, or, this person's also really out of the box." Things like that, or they have kids that I think, would really gel together. Um,
That's nice. That's very
yeah.
nice. And sometimes that's all it takes is just to introduce them. We've, dance competitions from crazy TV shows have gotten some bad raps. But in reality, what are really some positive reasons for students to compete?
I think number one, it's getting out on that stage and conquering that fear of being out in front of people, because it's in everybody. I mean, even though I performed professionally, I went out and did all that stuff, I still get those nerves. We all do. But it instills a confidence in them. And being a competitive situation, it gives you something to work for. It gives you a drive. Um, and I don't think a lot of times it's necessarily about winning first place. It's about doing better than you did the time before. So, I went to this competition and I got a high gold last time. So I want a higher award this time. You know, be it whatever that rating system is, you look at it, did I do better than I did the time before? Did I hear the same critiques? Did I hear the same comments? Did they compliment me on something that maybe I got criticism on the last time? You know, and it's also that working with your team, it's that making those connections, and you just learn so much from that process. You know, even getting to travel different places,
Yes.
and meet different people.
It's a positive activity because today kids need a positive activity and energy outlet. And being able, like you say, to just go and just get out there on that stage, it has you and I both know, has lasting benefits for the rest of their life. So it can be a very positive experience. Now, let's take a seasoned one as yourself. What advice would you give to someone wanting to start attending a dance competition?
Um,
How do
if you're
they
looking
choose one that's good for them?
yes, I think the best thing to do is go watch a few. You know, look at ones that are going to be in your area and go see different ones. There are so many different types of competitions out there. You know, there are some that are very geared to the more competitive studios. There are some that are very geared to the more recreational studios. There are some that really are a fit for both. You know, and if you're more on the recreational end, just starting out, you don't want to go to a convention competition that's going to be really hardcore. But you might like your kids to go have those classes, but you're not ready for that competitive level. So I think it's important to research them, but go see it, go watch it. When studios call us, I encourage them. Come check it out. Come say hi to us. We'd love to meet you, but just come watch. You know, if it means you bring a duet, just come experience it so that you see what it's about. Don't come full force 100% time one if you've not done it before.
I think that's a great idea that you brought up, is then let them come take the convention and then just watch the competition, because this way the kids at least feel like they've been a part of something, you know,
Exactly.
themselves, because it's like you say, come watch. That's good for the teacher and for the dancer. So to come and see. What kind of advice would you give to that competitive dancer, that one that just loves it so and is out there? So what advice would you give them?
Well, if you're that seasoned competitive dancer, always just remember that no matter what, always the basics are important. And you always need to go back and take that beginning class, because it will always be beneficial. And nothing's ever going to be perfect, no matter how much we want it to be. And it's always three people's opinion at a given moment.
Correct.
Sometimes we forget that.
Correct.
But use competitive dance as your gateway for what you want next. Because even if you don't want to be a professional dancer, it gives you a whole lot more. There are kids that, we're in year 25, and there are kids that will come back and tell me what I gained from doing that did so much for me. I'm a pharmacist now, or I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, or, you know, I'm a school teacher, whatever they may be. But they're like, what I got from being on that competition stage, or having to go through an interview for Mr. and Miss Dance, did so much for me over those years being a competitive dancer.
It's amazing because it is a training of the mind as much as it is training of the body, because you and I both know 9 out of 10 of those advanced dancers aren't going on to be dancers, but that has benefited them tremendously. in life, being able to go through that. So no, very, very, I love your point. Go back to the basics, take that beginner class. I love it. That's so true.
Well, it's the most helpful thing you can do.
I know, that's so funny. So now, through all of this, something exciting that maybe many know about, many don't know about, but I think in the dance world do. Tell us about ADCC, Association of Dance Competitions and Conventions. First, what is its mission?
So, the Association of Dance Competitions and Conventions, our mission is to create a camaraderie among the dance competitions. We're a trade organization. So lots of times people think we're a governing body, but we're not actually a governing body. We are a trade organization, just like, United Dance Merchants of America, just like, you have your dentist, you have your teachers, they have trade organizations. We are a way to have resources for the dance competitions and conventions. It's a chance for us to get together and have education that helps us. What I love about it is I can walk into a room with people that are actually my competitors in a very competitive industry, and we're all friends and we get along and we can help each other and we can share things with each other. It's helped us tremendously just having that person to talk to.
Sure. There's enough business out there, as we always laugh, for everyone.
100%. And we say that in that room.
All the time. So then how and when did this start? Like, who started it? How did it get going? I mean, I understand it's a phenomenal mission because it's a necessary mission. There's so many competitions. So tell us a little bit about the history and how it came to be where it is today.
So the ADCC came out. So years ago, there was the FDC, and that was the Federation of Dance Competitions, which started out with the idea of being a governing body. That fizzled out, and there was a group of people that wanted to have a true trade organization. And so that group of people got together to create the Association of Dance Competitions and Conventions, so that we truly had that organization that was there to support each other in the industry.
What an interesting comment. It's not a governing body, but a trade organization. That's a world of difference, because now as a trade organization, it is like UDMA. You have all different people in the industry come together. You all support one another and everyone can work together. So
absolutely. And it gives us the chance to be able to do things to help each other, but also in turn our customers in the end, because we're able to have buying power. We're able to have leverage with different companies because we're joining together.
That's nice. So how many members do you have now?
We stepping into 25, we just hit 45 members.
Congratulations. So why should other competitions and conventions, and it's open to both of them, a competition and convention, why should they join?
Number one is the camaraderie. And until you step into a meeting, like our annual meeting that we do usually September, October, you don't really feel it, but it's a camaraderie that's so hard to explain. But it's similar to going to a group of dance teachers that are all friends, but it happens with the dance competition and competition owners. That would be my number one. My number two is just the access to the resources and things that can help you. You have your direct access to your vendors. All the software companies are there. And when you pick up the phone, they talk to you and you have priority.
Right.
it gives you a priority that you didn't have before because of the organization.
So we will be able to put a link in the comment section that if anybody wants more information or where to go to find out about ADCC. Yes.
Absolutely.
Good. And how often do you meet? Do you meet Zoom? Do you meet in person? How often do you meet?
Well, as far as our entire membership, we do an annual meeting, and then we do different things throughout the year. Sometimes we'll do different workshops, that type of thing. Basically continuing education type things. We're actually getting ready to do one just to get ready for the season and, working with our teams and crews, that kind of thing. And then we have a board of directors that actually meets monthly. And then we do 2 in-person board meetings every year.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, I look forward to giving everyone the information about that. Organizations such as Dance Machine ADCC are such a positive force in the dance community. And as you know, NDF's mission is #KIC, kindness, inclusion, and community. Why do you think that's important that we all work together for that?
We're all in this together. And as we've said earlier, there's enough room for everybody. Yeah. There's no shortage of dancers out there. Yeah. But the thing is, if you wake up every day with a better attitude and you're kind, you get a lot further.
Correct. You're healthier. You're a lot healthier.
Exactly. 100%, and I think stepping into new year, that's an even better attitude, just be kind today. And it's so important. A huge thing important is inclusion right now. We've come a long way. We still have a long way to go. I was actually just on a trip. Funny enough, I was on a Virgin Voyages cruise, and I tell you what, that is the most inclusive, amazing thing I've ever seen. They are so incredibly inclusive to everybody and everything, and it really just inspires you. And I think that's what's beautiful about the dance industry is we are so inclusive.
I agree.
And you see these kids coming from that into the entertainment industry. And I think we have a great opportunity to spread that into the world. And I hope these kids see that and this next generation really spreads it into the world because we're like that. And that's what creates that awesome sense of community, is that we are all inclusive.
I agree. And it's important. And I know that there's avenues now that create opportunities. Like when we have our NBA games, we always scholarship some special needs dancers. So it's important to not only be inclusive, but to give opportunities out there. So I agree with you 100%. So exciting. Yeah. Will, it was wonderful to have you here. We know you're going to be hosting a seminar at the upcoming UDMA shows, and you're going to be having a panel of competitions so that dance teachers and studio owners can come in and ask a bunch of questions. So I'm excited to have the privilege of working with you again with that. So
awesome.
I want to thank you for your time. And thank you once again, everyone, for tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about National Dance Foundation, please visit nationaldancefoundation.org. So we will see you next Friday again at 12 noon Eastern Time. And in the meantime, as we always say, keep dancing. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.